Hi, I'm Rob Lightfoot. I'm in the EMEA South Platform and Technologies Pre-Sales Black Belt team, and I'm here to talk to you on the webinar about data governance and getting the best out of your data. Give data purpose.
Hi everyone, my name is Babish Chatter and I'm part of the SAP Platform and Technologies Center of Excellence. I'd like to welcome you today to join our webinar where we'll be sharing some ideas around what we term as how you give data purpose, and most importantly around how you drive the enterprise intelligence and the importance of why you need to leverage and develop a data strategy and some of the components that actually included as part of enabling you to actually get the best benefits out of your data assets. I'm hoping that you'll get some great insights in terms of some of the frameworks, the methodologies, the tool sets, and obviously the objective reasons that are in the market space today to help you leverage those technology assets. Thank you.
Portia is a specialist company for the coatings, paints, and ink business. To grow as a business, we need greater insights than ever before. Our challenge has been the quality of our customer data, difficulties with multiple versions of the truth. The business goal was to integrate all of our applications on a consolidated platform. SAP Analytic Cloud and SAP Cloud Platform enable us to bring data together from multiple sources to publish a single version of the truth globally. Not only for historical sales requirements, but also for business opportunity and profitability reporting. Users get access to data in real time, both on their desktop and mobile devices. They trust the data that they see. When sales teams are visiting customers, they're able to work with them looking at real-time data, sales history, open orders, having a much better dialogue about how we are working together. We can grow as a business and be significantly more profitable. Working closely with SAP, we can run our business effectively.
Welcome to the Experience Economy. Everything you've heard there, that video emulated, shows you some of the great opportunities that our customers face today, and more importantly around some of the key important components that need to be factored in for organizations today around what it means to make data-driven decisions. I'd like to share with you today some concepts and ideas that we've worked with throughout with a number of our customers across many industries to hopefully share with you some of the ideas and some of the experiences we ourselves at SAP have enabled our customers to go through. So when we talk about today and some of the great data management opportunities and why it's important for organizations to consider how data can support those great decision-making opportunities they have, there are a number of factors and considerations that organizations need to consider today. If we go through a list of this, there are a number of business dimensions that organizations today have to try and understand better and get better insights on. If we take, for example, the experiences of what it means and the customer experiences that we're presented with and some of the components that we have to think about, this brings a host of different types of considerations that we have to factor. Take a couple of examples for understanding how do you identify the uniqueness of a customer? How do you encapsulate the data that you manage and is provided to you to understand that? How do you then think about how you might personify some of those different types of services that you want to take out to that customer? And how do you try and control the level of social footprint that they can drive that gives you the branding around your data and your organization? This brings a whole notion and complex plethora of things around brand identification and also around how do you manage that data from a governance perspective and a usage perspective. Not only that, as you heard in the video, you need to look at the importance of the quality of the information that you're going to be presented with and how do you want to drive some decision rules around that. And then obviously, as I mentioned, the compliance and the regulatory angle from it. If you take another challenge is how do you actually utilize digitalization of technologies to not only understand how you can utilize that data, but also how you might be able to drive new business models from that data. You hear a lot around open data sharing platforms and the ability to, let's say, acquire and ingest a heterogeneous data landscape of different various sorts, unstructured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. And then you've got the notion of how can you actually drive more value from that data itself, right? How can you actually sell or potentially make revenue from that data by vertically integrating with similar services, or actually drive new business models and campaigns around that data itself. And this brings a notion of understanding how you might utilize that data in this huge data volume landscape that we're presented with today. The final dimension we need to think about is something that I touched on, is around, driving new models around the digitalization of that data itself, right? How do you build a foundational aspect and deliver a platform that can incorporate some of those great benefits that you want to drive moving forward? So let's think about this in this context. We as SAP want to share with you how you drive the value of that data. And simplistically, volume is something that we're all challenged with today. We talk about federation, we talk about connectivity, we talk about the streaming of that data, and then we think about how far you can actually elasticate that data itself and provide a flexible architecture towards it, right? Whether it's on-premise or whether it's cloud native from that perspective. This is actually perplexed about what you're going to use and how you're going to use it, right? This is all around the end user experience, right? And the ability to really harness real-time data and bring operational intelligence to that actual data itself, and then drive data as a service. And then you've got the hidden challenge around quality. How do you drive the quality aspects of that data? And what are some of the opportunities that you need to consider to manage that data? And then, as I touched on earlier, is around some of the governance that needs to be driven both from an internal and an external perspective as well. So let's move this. In today's world, we bring together the intelligence driven by the business technology platform, right? And ultimately, there are three dimensions to this, right? If you take it from the fact that you want to understand the experience that the customer and the data is actually trying to illustrate, to all the way to how that data is driven by the operational part of what you create from a data perspective or you ingest from an external standpoint. And in the middle is where the opportunity lies, right? And the considerations lie to drive that strategy. As I mentioned, obviously you want to drive analytics. You also want to drive some intelligent capabilities on that particular aspects of the data. And then you want to provide more agile development, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you've got an underlying platform that supports that strategy, from things like data quality, data integration, master data management, all the way through to the life cycle of that data itself. So this is where SAP focuses on how you drive that forward.
Yeah, thanks, Bav. So if we look at this from a perspective of thinking of data being the centerpiece, the nucleus, if you like, of your intelligence, when you're looking at management around this, and really focus on the data to start off with, think about how can we orchestrate this data? Where is it sitting? Which system, which database, which application, which cloud store, wherever it might be. How can we get greater context around the data, gain some sort of speed and agility when it comes to moving or potentially even leaving the data where it resides? Advocating, so striving for the information excellence around that. So it could be enhancing data to make it that it's therefore information. So moving it into a business context, allowing the users to understand exactly what is being used, say where, from within the data perspective, and giving them the tools to profile the data themselves. Importantly, accelerating, so making sure that that whole process is something which can be done at rapid fashion and can be repeated as and when necessary. So we don't think of this as just being a one-time thing. The data process, this whole process around orchestration, advocation, acceleration, this happens at a very iterative process, and it will happen over and over again based on new data which is coming into your systems and the opportunities which you're facing as an enterprise. Here we have a pictorial example really of how all of the SAP technologies come together, especially when we're looking at the business technology platform and how all of these things play a key role. So we see here on the left-hand side, all of the data where it might be residing. Could be internal within your enterprises and your applications. Could be external when we look at third-party data, even things like emails, audio data, weather data, whatever it might be. this data could potentially play a key role within our business processes, but we might not know how to tap into that data. The key thing there, and what you see within this shape in the middle, is from an SAP perspective, we have tools looking at 4 main key pillars with which we can help all our various different business personas. So business personas could be around a data engineer, a data scientist, business analyst, data steward. These guys often need the end-to-end lineage of where my data's come from. Is it of a high quality? Has the data been profiled? And then what can I do with it? I want to be able to ingest it potentially, orchestrate the data, or apply some sort of governance to the data itself. Potentially then adding with the enterprise content and collaboration, speak to all the other various different personas within my enterprise to make sure that we're making the right decisions. Then it could be a case of adding the business insights, analytics, machine learning, or data science. Some of these tools which essentially we need to apply to our data in order to get the best value from it. And you don't, in this day and age, have to be an absolute expert when it comes to things like machine learning and data science when we want to leverage some of those capabilities. And we'll come on to tell you a little bit around that. The key thing there is to bring all this data, add all of this kind of insight and expertise, and then reimagine our business processes. It could be taking some of this data, taking some of this purposeful data, putting it and embedding it within our actual business processes on a day-to-day basis. So being able to control that and seeing the end results as a business user of all of this data science work, or if you like, data profiling work, would then make a real impact on the way in which we're running our business on a day-to-day basis. So from an architecture perspective, these are some of the key components that we're looking at. So we think about the big and diverse data. We mentioned some of the data sets and where they're coming from, but really this can be SAP core data, or it could be the absolute explosion of data that we know is out there in our external sources. And they could be data that's in the public domain. It could be of an unstructured format or a semi-structured format. You have the ability of acquiring that data, whether you want to acquire that as a batch, streaming, real-time, or even remote access. And this is one of the things that really sets SAP apart from anyone else, which gives you the ability to access data where it resides and leave it there. Just that gives you the ability to just profile the data and understand what these data sets are doing within your enterprise. And then above that, applied intelligence and orchestration layer. This is really where some of the things which SAP have built over the last 10 years are starting to come very much honed into fruition, where we're looking around things like the ability of discovering the data, of integrating the data, which is very closely related to our data sets, which you see below, and then applying some sort of advanced analytical or processes to that. So it could be around advanced analytics when we look at graph, spatial, time series. We have many customers who are using these engines to drive better insights around potentially their daily sales, their customer insights, but also other things like customer churn and also citizen satisfaction for many of our government customers. Then we have a key component within this landscape, which is that we very much integrate with the open source technologies that are out there. So those of you on the webinar who are interested to use Python, TensorFlow, R processing, for example, all of these are core components of our data intelligence strategy. Then below, it's the big data core, the key processes around how we actually manage data, holding the data potentially 100% in memory to give you the best performance when we're running them against these advanced analytical processing engines. It's all about getting the data to these new reimagined business processes as fast as possible when time is of the essence. Then we can see on the right-hand side a lot more around the governance of the data. So building data models, versioning control, making sure that the users have access to the data as and when required, and also things like federation and life cycle of the data. We'll obviously know that data is becoming much, much bigger. And a lot of the time, some of the older data is less relevant. So we might want to age that off into a cheaper storage. And that's all possible as a part of this framework. We then have the ability on the top there to use many different ways of integrating with the data. It could be operational reporting. It could be the new digital boardroom concept, of which you've seen other webinars on. Data science use cases, advanced analytical use cases. We have tools whereby we can use and leverage a lot of these engines and processes that you see on the applied intelligence and orchestration layer and get the most out of the data. Again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, a data scientist necessarily to use and leverage these tools. A lot of them actually come out of the box with machine learning to have the ability of applying and analyzing your data without the need of understanding necessarily what the algorithms are doing on the other side. Lastly, on the right-hand side, we have an end-to-end data governance, data lineage framework, and also data quality to understand through the complete list of data and the ability that you see here of all the things that you're able to do with that to still provide a level of governance to make sure the data is of a good quality and it's come from the right place. Here we see is the data framework value proposition. So similar to the last diagram I showed you, this is essentially putting it into product terms. So at the core is the SAP flagship data platform, which is the SAP HANA platform, which is of course available on premise. It has been for the last 10 years. It's celebrating its 10th birthday this year, but also is now cloud native. So for those of you who are out there who want to run this purely as an end-to-end cloud proposition, you have the ability of doing that. All of those capabilities that you saw on the previous slide and many more are also being built into this framework to make sure that you have the best set of tools available to manage your data from an orchestration perspective, from a profiling perspective, from a governance perspective. So business outcome, what looks good? Again, it's about, as Mackenzie say here, making your organization data-driven. Learning from the underlying data sets themselves to be able to make timely, better informed decisions on the data, okay? And all about becoming profitable. So understanding the drivers that have been there for your organization previously to everything that could be running your business in the future. And having those data sets really sit within those business processes to make them more intelligent and to give you the ability as an organization to make better data-driven decisions. So why SAP to give data impact? I think first and foremost, it's one, if you like, flexible platform, whether you deploy on premise or in the cloud, but it comes from a steep history of working with many customers across 26 different industries in order to better run their organizations and their processes. So SAP as a company really understands the business transactional systems. And it's about taking that data and augmenting it and making it more intelligent when we're wanting to use these advanced data-driven and applied intelligent insights. Operational insights into your business processes. Again, if you're an SAP customer who's running a core SAP system, it's about understanding what's there available to us now that we've reached this moment where a lot of these new next generation technologies around machine learning, artificial intelligence have become a commodity. We're able to use these as a part of our core business processes today. And SAP is the one company which brings all of these different worlds together. Number three, I think that really just summarizes everything. So reusing your existing investment in SAP, potentially what you have, and really just enhancing that, giving you the ability to make better decisions again on that data and embedding it within your core business processes moving forwards. So how can SAP help? There's many things that we can do with you as a customer around data strategy and framing sessions, data readiness assessments, which we have, all the way through to things like data value workshops and data architecture workshop and engagements. So myself and Bav, who have taken you through this webinar, are really have been doing that with many customers in the past and well equipped to take you through this process to help you better understand your data and really what can be done with it with our new tool sets and methodologies. Thank you for attending the webinar. I hope you found it useful. All of the links, relevant links, how you get in contact with us will be posted afterwards. Thank you very much and hope you're keeping safe during this challenging time. Thank you.